In less than 9 months, Roland Garros has returned and so have all the top women's players except for Simona Halep. My bad. Including 2019 champion Ash Barty and second seed Naomi Osaka. Will we see a 6th consecutive first-time slam champion here in Paris, or will the streak break with a former champion reclaiming the throne? I'll break down the draw, go over all the juicy first round matches and projected clashes, then give my picks and predictions here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today. World number 1 Barty will start against American Bernarda Pera and will likely face Magnet Linette in the second round. Her first seeded opponent could be Onstrouber, followed by Jen Brady. In the quarters, Ash might meet Ukrainian Elena Svitolina once again, and in the semis, Kenin. Then of course in the finals, Osaka. I believe that Barty's section is pretty favorable. I think though that Pera can be a very tough opener because the lefty has been playing excellent all clay court season and has been knocking on the door of claiming a top win, nearly defeating Kudermetova in Istanbul, Bencic in Madrid, and Muguruza in Rome. Pera's problem though is that she doesn't know how to take advantage of her opportunities and close out matches, so I think that should it come down to the wire, Barty will advance. Also, Linette is doing pretty decent as of late too, just reaching the Strasbourg semis. Barty is projected to meet Jabeur in the third round, but the Tunisian has a tricky opener against Yulia Putintseva. I'll pick Yulia to get the upset and then face Barty in the third round, as the Kazakhstanian has had a decent success at Roland Garros in the past. Moving down, there's Australian Open finalist Jen Brady on a collision course to meet Coco Gauff in the third round, but I think only the 17-year-old will make it to that stage. I say this because Brady hasn't been performing well since reaching that final in Australia, and has always struggled on clay. Also, Sevastova, who's her opponent in the first round, seems to have found her form, and I think she might pull off the upset. Looking at Coco's draw is decent, and she might have a rematch of the Parma finals against Wang Xiong in the second here. Out of everyone in this mini section, Coco is playing the best tennis, but I am worried about how she'll do if she faces Sevastova in the third round, as the Latvian beat her in New York last year. Fiona Farah also looms there, who played very well on clay last year. I'll just stick with Ash and Coco meeting in the fourth, with the Aussie reaching the final 8. The next section to look at is Elena Svitolina, and at the top is Karolina Pliskova with a very brutal draw. She'll play Donna Vekic in the first round, followed by possibly Sloane Stephens in the second. Cancer survivor Carla Suarez Navarro will play Sloane, but I don't have high expectations for her, this being her first event back since the diagnosis. I'll pick Pliskova to advance because this is Vekic's first tournament since the Australian Open, as she had knee surgery in February. Should Karolina and Sloane meet, I'll go with the latter because I think she's been slowly but surely rounding into form. Karolina Muchova will likely be Sloane's third round opponent if this is the case, and I still go with Sloane to make the round of 16. Looking at Elena's part itself, it seems pretty straightforward. Alexandrova is her projected seed, and the Russian faces Venus Williams in the first round. This is a winnable match for Venus, but I unfortunately think that she'll let yet another match like this slip between her fingers. Regardless, I have Krejcikova meeting Svitolina in the third round, where I think Elena will still come through. I also picked Svitolina to reach the quarters because of her recent experience here at the big stages of slams. Last year's finalist Sofia Kenin will start against Jelena Ostapenko and could next face Anna Blinkova. Jessica Pegula would be her first seeded opponent, and afterwards Elise Mertens. In the quarters, we could have a rematch of last year's finals versus Swiatek. In the semis, there's Barty, and in the finals, Osaka. I'm going to be blunt. This is very bad for Kenin. She has no match confidence at all and really needs a favorable draw to ease her way back into form. Ostapenko, a former champion, has confidence right now, playing well in Rome, nearly reaching the semis there. Simply put, I'm picking Elena to advance, but if Sonia can somehow escape this one, she could perhaps go on another surprise run. Also, quick shout out to American Hailey Baptiste, who reached the main draw after qualifying today. I think this is a good opportunity for fellow American Jessica Pegula to really reach the quarters here. Mertens, though solid, is beatable. So is Sakari also, but I'm unsure if the Greek woman will reach her potential and go deep because she does tend to fold in these slam matches. I think Elise is a solid, safe pick, and I'll have her and Pegula face off in the fourth round with the Belgian making the quarters. Viewing defending champion Swiatek's section, we see Garbiñe and Muguruza at the top, which means the two are on a collision course for a fourth round duel. A lot of tennis has to be played before then though, so we shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves. Fellow Spaniard Sarah Cerebus Tormo is a likely opponent for Mugu in the second round, which could be tricky as Sarah is an ultra grinder. Petra Martic is also there, who seems to have regained her form. I picked Muguruza and Martic to face off in the third, with Garbiñe coming through. Swiatek I think has a decent draw. Huvon has no confidence because she's been struggling to win matches. Shelby in the second round might be tricky though, especially since the American has had success here in the past. Also, Sneaky Schmiedlova looms as a third round opponent, as does Kontaveit. I still think that Iga should be fine to reach the fourth round, and should her and Garbiñe meet, I go with Swiatek edging it out because she has slightly more confidence at the moment. Going to the bottom half, I'll go over Serena's path to the title as well, as she starts off against Arina Camelia Begu. She then can beat Arantxa Rus in the second round, followed by Kerber in the third. In the round of 16, Williams could meet Petra Kvitova, and in the quarters, Aryna Sabalenka. In the semis, Naomi, and in the finals, Ash. I think that Serena's draw is okay. Begu, I thought at first glance, was tricky until I realized that the Romanian hasn't won a lot of clay court matches this season. Kerber could potentially be a tricky third rounder depending on which Angie shows up. If it's the Kerber from Madrid, yes, but if the Angie from Rome, no. Danielle Collins is also a third round possibility. The American, who reached the quarters here last year, is playing her first event since having surgery for her endometriosis. I think though that Williams will advance to the fourth round to play Kvitova. I think that Petra has a decent draw herself. Her projected seed Rybakina is talented, but hasn't gotten her overall game back since the shutdown. A Serena Kvitova showdown would be an absolute blockbuster for obvious reasons. Serena actually hasn't beaten Petra since 2013, so it will likely be a tough one for her. I still think that she can outlast Kvitova and thus have her reaching the quarters. Third seed Aryna Sabalenka will open against qualifier Anna Konja and will next probably play compatriot Sasnovich in the second round. Pavlyuchenkova is her first projected seed, followed by Azarenka. Then in the quarters is Serena, semifinals Naomi Osaka, and finals Ash Barty. First, looking at the top of Aryna's section, we have a battle of slam champions, Azarenka and Kuznetsova. Azarenka hasn't gone deep here in a very long time, while Kuznetsova has, but also hasn't played a match on clay this season. For that reason, I'm going with Vika. Clara Tauson is a likely second round opponent for Azarenka, but the young Dane has been struggling performance-wise lately. Madison Keys will be Vika's third round opponent, and I do think the American will reach that stage because she's been trending in the right direction as of late. Keys is actually my pick to make the fourth round here. Now looking at Sabalenka, I think she has a very tough opener against Konja. Konja, who returned to the tour this year after a 4-year hiatus, has done very well thus far, beating Swiatek in Miami and reaching the Belgrade finals. She also qualified for this event, which means that she has the confidence and match reps. This is definitely a winnable match for Aryna though, and I think that if she can get by this tricky opening test, she could potentially go all the way. I will pick her to advance past the Croat and beat everyone in her draw en route to the quarterfinals. The 7th section is Bianca Andreescu's, and I think she has a low-key, very tricky draw. Zidansek has been playing great this season, especially on clay, reaching the finals in Colombia and pushing Barty deep in Madrid. Then in the second round is Maria Camila Osorio Serrano, who beat Zidansek in the finals in Colombia, reached the semis of the Charleston 2 event and the Serbia Open, plus qualified for the French. I don't see Bianca going past the third round, as her projected opponent there, Kudermetova, has also been crushing on the dirt winning Charleston. Kudermetova though has a tough little draw herself, playing Anisimova in the opening round, followed by possibly Senyakova. I think that Anisimova will get the upset, and I'll have her going to the fourth round. Moving down, things are notably a lot weaker with Konta and Bencic being the top 2 seeds. I think that Kristeva will beat Konta in the first round and advance to the third because she's definitely the superior player at the moment. Bencic has Podoroska in the first round, which could also call for an upset, as Podoroska reached the semis here last year. Kazatkina is there too, who has been playing pretty decent, but I'm going with Bencic and Kristeva to meet, with a more experienced Bencic reaching the fourth. Then between Amanda and Belinda, I'll go with the former. At last, second seed Naomi Osaka starts against Patricia Maria Teague, followed by maybe another Romanian, Anna Bogdan. Then in the third round, she might play Paula Badosa, followed by BARTY'S in the fourth. And in the quarterfinals, Naomi could beat Andreescu, in the semi Sabalenka, then Ash in the final. Naomi's section was actually by far the best one out of the top 8 seeds previously, as instead of Badosa being her third round opponent, it was Alison Riske, who's been playing horribly this season. Riske withdrew though, so now Naomi gets Paula Badosa, who's been playing amazing tennis all clay season and is coming off her maiden tour title in Belgrade. Naomi hasn't been doing well since Miami, so she could honestly lose before the third round, although I still think she'll advance to that round. Badosa though could have a tricky second round against Danka Kovinic, who reached the Charleston final, but I still have the Spaniard coming through. I'm going to just say it, I think Badosa will beat Osaka should they meet in the third round. She's by far the better clay court player between these two and has a lot of confidence. Also, while this might be a little thing, Naomi was seen in discomfort today during one of her practice sessions. She could prove me wrong because then again she is a great champion, but I'm staying with my pick. I think Badosa will reach the quarterfinals here, as in the top part of Osaka's section, nothing really jumps out at me. Both BARTY'S and Vondrousova are at risk of losing both their first and second round matches, and neither has done anything notable recently. For my quarterfinal picks, I have Barty against Svitolina, Mertens vs Swiatek, Serena vs Sabalenka, and Anisimova vs Badosa. I'll pick Barty to win over Svitolina because while Alina was close to winning their match in Stuttgart, Ash is the more steady and talented of the two. The same can be said with Swiatek and Mertens, as Iga is the more skilled, thus I think she'll win. Between Serena and Sabalenka, I'll pick Arna. Arna has never reached the quarters of a major, and she came super close at the Australian, falling to Williams the round before that stage. Serena hasn't been playing well this clay court season, but I anticipate that she'll perform better for Roland Garros. I definitely think that if this is the case, she can beat Sabalenka, but Serena lately tends to fold in bigger matches. Sabalenka also has more match confidence lately, which I think should carry her over the edge in the pressure moments. Then between Anisimova and Badosa, I'll pick Paula, because as I keep saying, she's been playing great all clay court season and is primed for a big breakthrough here. For the finals prediction, I have Barty and Sabalenka meeting with Ash winning the title. I think that while Iga has improved slightly since their lone meeting in Madrid this year, Barty's game style will likely continue to give her some issues. Then with Sabalenka and Badosa, I think that Arna's slightly greater firepower and ability in general will bring her through. In this hypothetical third clay court match between Ash and Arna, I think that Barty will get the better of the Belarusian because she has the experience at the deep major stages to handle the pressure. Sabalenka, as I keep mentioning, hasn't been to the latter stages of a slam, let alone a slam final. For this primary reason, Barty is my pick in this would-be match. Previews aside, here are my top first round popcorn matches. Players in the bottom halves of the women's draw will open on Sunday and Monday, while those in the top half begin on Monday and Tuesday. Naomi, Arna, Kvitova, Azarenka, Keys, Kerber, Kudermetova, Pavlyuchenkova, and Badosa will begin on day 1. That's all for this tournament preview, and let me know what you think about the draw and my predictions in the comment section below. Do you think Barty and Sabalenka are solid picks? If not, who are your finalists? Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post the men's preview. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.